Hi, I'm Meta Spencer. Today is Sunday, the 27th of July, and it's the last Sunday in the month. And of course, we're holding our Global Town Hall. So it's really pleasant to be with all my friends who are going to show up today. So let's let them in. I'm going to open the door and let people in. Here's Paul. Hello, dear. How are you?
Good.
Good. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Hi, Paul. Hi, everybody. Hi, Sue.
Hello.
Who else is here? Just us four?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. A lot of good work.
Well, Marilyn told us last time that you're in, I don't know, Utah or something.
Montana. Yeah, every year I go back into the deep wilderness of Montana and hang out with, in a base camp. Okay. And a friend of mine owns a little over 200 acres right in the middle of the Blackfoot Nation. And that's where I go to hang out with the mountains and the bears and the elk and all the moose and all the critters that pass through that area there. Sometimes, sometimes well, 2 years ago, 23, I confronted a grizzly bear. Well, it didn't confront it walked past. And I took some photographs of it and just paid attention. And
he saw you.
oh yeah, because I had a little dog with me, and that dog is a border collie. Instinctively, they herd, okay, whatever moves. And so what happened was that Sonny, the little dog, started after the bear. And I shouted at him, no, no, come back here. And she did. I mean, she's well trained, believe me. And at that moment, the bear looked in my direction, in our direction, and just sort of a glance, okay, and kept right on walking. Yeah.
Well,
So this year, nothing like that happened. It was very smooth, very easy going. The last night that I was there, we had 5 hours worth of thunderstorms that came through. And as a matter of fact, right there at it's on the spine of the continent, okay? And right there in camp, you can look right directly up and watch the formation of thunderstorms going out over the prairie. It's really
I had an uncle, George. We used to call him Uncle Wolf. For good reason. He was big into hunting. He had these big guns, and he went out to Montana to hunt grizzly bears. And I remember when he came back and told this whole story all about grizzly bears to our family. And he said, grizzly bears can smell a can of tuna from 5 miles away. And I went right to the center of them. But none of the grizzly bears showed up within 5 miles of me. I had that visibility. And my sister and I joked and said, if they could smell a can of tuna 5 miles away, they could smell Uncle George. No wonder he never saw a bear.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's probably very true. Well, they're not aggressive unless they have young, or if they're cornered or suddenly come upon and they don't know what the reaction is going to be. They can be dangerous, and when they stand up, they're about 9-10 feet tall. When they're on their hind legs, they're way above you and me, and they're faster than greased lightning, boy. When they begin to run, you can't outrun them. And so,
hold on, guys. We got some more folks here that I should acknowledge. They're sitting patiently. They've got past Sue, who's sort of my guard, and she makes people sign in with their email addresses before she lets them in. But two of these people have passed her sentry, and so I need to say hello to them. One is Lloyd Helferty. Hello, Lloyd. How are you? And the other
You
is
can hear
Lisa
me?
Supan. I don't know, Lisa. So why don't you tell us a bit about who you are, and and then I'm going to go back and let and continue Bill Lykham's story about grizzly bears. But let's
Okay.
at least say hi. Lisa,
Certainly.
who are
Yes.
you?
I'm doing all right. I've got several titles. I'm member 18349 of the International Dance Council Division of UNESCO. I'm also the Global Outreach Director and the founding member for UnityNet. Of course, you'll hear of UnityNet from Lloyd as well. I've got a number of other titles, but I don't think they're going to really apply here. So happy to meet you.
Well, happy to meet you too. And we'll come back to you. And I know that Lloyd wants the floor in a bit, and that's fine. But I'm so keen to hear more about these grizzly bears that I want to finish that story first. Go back to Montana, Bill, and tell us.
Well, I was just about ready to wrap it up anyway, but if you know, you can come across grizzly bears and they won't bother you, they'll just move right on their way. And it happened to my friend Bob while this year. He took the dogs out to a beaver pond to give them a drink for the night. And he asked me if I wanted to go along, and I said, "Nah, I'm going to go to bed." You know, he was out by the beaver pond, and the dogs were lapping up the water. And a grizzly came by at about, he said it was about 75 feet, 100 feet away from him, just huffing up the mountainside, going somewhere. And he said, I doubt that bear even considered I was there. It was headed somewhere.
Well, I guess it would depend on how hungry he is. Wouldn't that be the main factor?
No, I don't think they intentionally would attack a human unless they were really, really super, super hungry. It doesn't jive. It doesn't make sense.
No, no. Well, what do they like? Deer and
Oh, no, they eat grubs, they eat berries, they eat all kinds of things along those lines. Um, they're not they're not carnivores.
so they don't even eat meat. Oh,
Yeah, grubs and insects.
oh,
Actually, this is a big part of Canada, and I'm very grateful I've had a chance to be in the Yukon and Alaska. We've been close to so many bears and indigenous people. It's unbelievable what we've learned. What I was thinking was if I lived up there, I might open a Three Bears restaurant serving exactly what they like the most: blueberries, cranberries, and salmon.
Yeah,
And that would be better for humans.
yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
You were in Alaska, right?
Alaska and Yukon.
And Yukon. Okay. Okay. Well, let's see who else is here. We've got a gallery now. And oh yeah, Peter Wadhams is here.
Yeah.
My favorite human being.
Oh, great. That's nice.
Hello, Peter. How are you, dear?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, it's good to see you. And okay, now I think we should give Lloyd the floor. I've known Lloyd a long time and doing climate work mostly, but he's a man of many parts, and he seems to be very much involved with something in which I'm going to be hosting a forum this week, I believe, for African women. So maybe you have more details to share with us, Lloyd. So start at the top and tell us what you're all about.
Okay. Basically, we have what we call the Global Unity Network that we started really back during the pandemic. in the pandemic lockdown periods where we had kind of a lot of time on our hands. And so I connected up with a gentleman in Los Angeles, Andrew Williams Jr., in 2021. And we had some inkling of what this might be back then. And because what we were doing through an organization here called Drawdown Markham was trying to what we now call localizing the global goals. So if you think about those sustainable development goals, those 17 SDGs, basically what we want to do is implement them at the local level wherever we are. Actually implement those solutions locally by building teams of people, practitioners, experts, and people that understand what needs to be done to implement those and achieve those goals locally, wherever we are in the world, because every local context is different. So we started developing this network. We got some support from Andrew, this guy in Los Angeles. We did what we call an Indigenous Global Unity Summit series events for a couple of years, from 2021 to 2023, and built this network, the Global Unity Network, which we now just sort of call UnityNet. And so
Now, I
now,
think, excuse me, might as well pause to introduce someone who I think is one of your colleagues, a member of your group. Is this Amos Emmanuel? Is he part of your organization, Lloyd?
I don't recognize the name. No.
Okay, well, we have a man joining us now who's I think he was in the waiting room for a while before I started. I don't open until 2. So hello, let me say hello to you, Amos. Are you part of the Unity Network?
Yes, hello everyone.
Hello.
Yes, my name is Miss Emmanuel from Kenya. I work with Lift CBO. Lift CBO is an organization from refugee Kakuma, from Kenya Rift Valley.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'm part of this network.
Okay. Well,
Yes, so
I'm not sure that you're connected, but we'll find out more. I'm going to go back to Lloyd, and Lloyd's going to get to telling us about what I'm going to do this week, because I don't know the details yet. He's setting it up. So, what is it we're going to do? There's something about African women.
So it is actually that particular day. Let me go to my calendar. Next Thursday is Pan-African Women's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So what we would like to do is to begin training our members of UnityNet in the nonviolence education that you've been doing for such a long time, Meta, and been delivering through your network. So not necessarily yourself moving forward doing that actual delivery, but we'd like to tap into many of the people that are in your network, especially in the peace movement that you've been involved with for so long. Obviously, as the editor for Peace Magazine for many, many years. And so connecting in with those folks and hopefully young folks from around the world who are actually delivering this kind of peace and we say peace and reconciliation type of education, especially for our members in Africa, but also around the world, especially young people. Probably everybody's aware that Africa, by demographics, is actually the youngest continent, even though it's the oldest. And the original cradle of civilization and cradle of mankind, coming out of Africa. But
Okay, now hold on.
demographically, they are young.
I want to find out more what I'm supposed to do. You're going to tell me. And my understanding was that you have a group of women who are working with refugees in some sort of refugee camp where there
We
tends to
have
be a
many,
lot.
many.
Mhm.
And Lisa Anise can tell you we have hundreds, perhaps thousands, of people in refugee camps. And actually, Amis Emmanuel is at a refugee camp right now in Kenya. And so we are.
Amos, are you in a refugee camp?
Me, no. I'm here in San Francisco, California.
Amis,
You're in San Francisco, but Amos, who's muted, is someplace. And are you saying, Lloyd, that he's in a refugee camp?
I believe that's what he said. Yes.
He's in Kakuma, which is actually
Yes.
the largest refugee camp on the planet.
It's a city. Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
It's, not, it's an entire region. It covers 5 different nations.
Holy smoke, and I don't know anything about it. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
That's
You can find out.
the news blackout that happens in the
Well,
West.
look, Amos, if that's where you are, you're the man to tell us where you are and what you're up to and what is this place?
Yes, good evening. I don't know, it's evening there.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's Amis Emmanuel, my name. I'm from Kakuma refugee camp here in Kenya, and I'm working with Lift CBO, is our organization. But with this camp, we equip a lot of the refugee. We from a lot of country. We have 11 country here in from around across Africa. We have South Sudan, we have Sudan, and we have Eritrea and Ethiopia. We have people from DRC Congo, and we have people from Uganda and Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. Yes.
Now,
Here in
excuse me, but all of these people are refugees from fighting in all of those countries. I mean, I know that there's fighting here and there, but you've named a lot of countries. And would you say there's so much violence that's why these people are going to this refugee center?
Yes, my problem is English is not. I'm not familiar with English,
Well,
but
you're doing okay.
So we talk a lot with Madam Alisa.
Okay.
Maybe you can say something about that. Because
More than happy to. More than happy
Yes.
to.
Yes.
These are people who have been displaced by outside corporate entities who have come in to make arrangements to raise the land of its valuable mineral wealth. Africa, far and above every other nation, has a massive amount of mineral wealth underneath its soil. And it's one of the reasons that we've kept the entire continent in news blackout, so as not to reveal the fact that Western nations have been engaging in a lot of skullduggery, paying bribes, disrupting social infrastructures in nations so that their governments have no choice but to take bribes just in order to basically survive. Even their governments have been decimated to the point where they have what we call ghost departments. Now, here in the United States, we have those as well. But each of these ghost departments is required still to contribute money to the total pot every single year. So as a result, they actually feed the issue by taking bribes from outside forces that want to come in and raise the land. of course, the nations that we discuss on this, every single one of them has a great many displaced people and a lot of community-based organizations trying valiantly to keep everything going. But what UnityNet has been going in and doing has, well, we've been sharing with them what the network of networks of nonprofits worldwide has done to organize and take the information that only we get, and organize ourselves to use that information to strengthen our social and government infrastructure to the point where they can stand on their own and be able to negotiate decently, because they'll have the accurate information, which has been lost for generations because of this massive conflict and migration situation that has made it so, no government really knows how many people are within their borders. And as you know, we use that information ourselves to be able to negotiate deals with other countries, with the World Bank, with the International Monetary Fund.
So when you say we use that information, who do you have in mind? By the way, San Francisco.
Every single nation on this planet has times where their budgets don't quite come up to snuff because of monies that they're expecting to come in or going out.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reason that the World Bank was actually created, to try to float budgets through the harder times of year.
Mm-hmm.
Be it from the ravages of weather or ravages of war. And what's been going on here is, without accurate information, what occurs is these poorer nations are made even poorer by having to pay high taxes and charge their people tariff monies, in order to cover the fact that without accurate information, the amount they pay back to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund is higher than it normally would be. Because a lot of that negotiation relies upon accurate information, which these governments cannot get. Their social infrastructures have been destroyed. And the pattern that we've seen constantly, and especially with the advent of satellite technology, it's one of the negative aspects. They've been using satellite technology to analyze the soil from hundreds of miles up above. And I'll give you an example. This last year, Mozambique, a small nation in Central Africa, they found that underneath its soil is what they consider to be the largest deposit of gold that has ever been discovered.
Mm-hmm.
Within 3 months after that deposit was found, boom, a nation that had been very peaceful and doing really well broke out into civil war.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the pattern that we've seen over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
The breaking out of a so-called civil war, which disrupts the social infrastructure. People start to leave, people get killed en masse, people seek to find relief, and there's none coming because people on the outside don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have the internet, we can find out for ourselves. The continent of Africa, in many, many ways, has been deliberately kept poor. In fact, I've got videos of organizations and corporations that say, in order for America to be rich, Africa must remain poor, which is completely not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives you an idea as to the forces that have been at work for generations, ever since colonialism ended at the Second World War.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Well, all right. Now you say we can find out. That's probably true if you know to look. I have to admit that I am completely unaware of all of this because I didn't even know I should go check it out. So now you're doing a big service to me and to everybody who will be watching this. And before we go on, I'd like to greet John DRC. I presume the DRC stands for Democratic Republic of Congo. Is that what DRC stands for in your case, John? Hello.
How are you? How are you there?
Doing fine, and I'm very happy to.
Yes. My name is John.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. My name is John Volume from DRC, Congo. I live in North Kivu, principally in Butembo town, where I am for now, because I came from Goma when the M23 began their war with the government. For now, I'm working with refugees and women who was violated by soldiers and rebels.
Oh, yes.
And I work in in a local organization named L2R Congo League for Rehabilitation and Reintegration in DRC, and I'm the lead. I'm leading the platform named Score DRC. We work with more than 7 local organizations here in DRC. And for now, we are working together in peacemaking in DRC. As you know, at east of DRC, we travel in several situations, critical situations, as war and many of women are victim of violences and violences based and many persons are displaced from their community to went in other area who they can have a small peace. And for now, we are working with look for some solutions, how we can save lives, how we can contribute to bring again peace in our area, and we work with community discussing with them how we can contribute as local people in our community, how we can bring peace again. It's why for now we want to organize a festival of peace and regenerative development in our area, our local area in North Kivu. Maybe we can see how we can do, and we want to settle a program which we will follow together. For now, that I'm working in my organization, I have some I keep care several women who travel in war situation, who was victim of violences, and I have which I can say I have free centers who I can listen women, their stories according their life, and begin to see how I can I can keep care and help them according the psychological care. I think you try to hear from me, to hear me, because my English is not good.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm getting most of
we
what
work.
I'm getting most of what you said, and I think you're saying that they need therapy as a result of the trauma that these women have, right? One of
Yes,
the people
trauma healing.
Yes, one of the
Yes.
people who will join us later probably is a psychiatrist in Croatia who does help people who have been victims of war or violence. And it teaches people how to be therapists for each other, ordinary people. He calls them barefoot therapists. But now I want to know more about these camps, if you will. Are these people living in some sort of settlement? Are they brought into certain towns and living as regular people in the community that existed before, or are they looked after by some sort of international organization? Who's paying for their food? Who's paying for their livelihood? I have no idea how such a huge grouping of displaced people could exist or function. Can you tell me more about that community, or if it is a community?
More of women that we are keep care, they are refugees and displaced women. We come we came from the community who travel in conflicts, and as you know, here we have several groups of rebels, and more of women are raped, kidnapping with them, and my caregivers and try to do a work to go in the suburb, in the community, to sensibilize according peace, according trauma healing, and many of women came from there, arrived in our listening centers, and there are some international organizations who try to help them by food, but is not enough. Is not enough, because before there was the USAID working with some international organization and try to help them, but for now, no humanitarian help. For now, they have any humanitarian help, and for now, as a local organization, we try to do something to sensibilize people in churches, to try to help them, and if someone can have clothes, foods, and utensils to give them, we try to sensibilize them to bring something, because for now I'm keep care more than 164 children, children who came from the area who traveled in conflict wars. We have a center, even pygmies pygmies are in our centers. They are children who are abandoned.
Oh.
And according to the women that we are keeping, we have some families who try to help us to say, okay, for me, I can take 2 or 3 families, and I will see how I can help them like that.
Mm-hmm.
And our state try to do something according how they can help them. And in every Monday, every Tuesday, there are a meeting with all those women. There are many parts, and we can have a meeting. We talk according peace, according trauma healing, according their rights, and is there when we finish the sensibilization. There are some women who can say, "Oh, me, I have such problem. I traveled in this situation, like that." Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Lisa, would you
I don't know.
amplify what he's saying? Because all of this is so new to me. I don't even know what questions most useful to ask.
Okay. Well, basically, what's going on here is North and South Kivu, or Eastern Congo, has about $61 trillion worth of valuable minerals underneath their soil. So, as a result, of the fact that when the French left as a colonizer back at the end of World War II, they didn't designate where the borders of the 3 nations that were there actually ran. We're talking DR Congo, Rwanda, and Burundi. And ever since then, there has been all manner of skirmishes until finally, for the last 30 years, there have been constant warring in that area. What we've seen is youth as young as the age of 10 being kidnapped and conscripted into service for the M23 group, and then returned at the age of 13 or 14, when, of course, they're well and truly traumatized and have to go through an awful lot of work just to normalize behavior. When it comes to the females, they get kidnapped as well and put into illegal mining camps where they become, well, minors, somewhat, yes, but for the most part, prostitutes. Not prostitutes, because certainly they don't get paid. The constant traumatizing of these individuals who survive makes for a very difficult life when they come back, in terms of recovery and just learning new skills, because many of them are quite hopeless. I've spoken with people who couldn't keep their mind on a single subject. It was just darting all over the place because of emotional trauma. And I've also seen a lot of things that, well, in truth, I can't describe them because it would be like I was telling a horror tale, and it is a horror tale. I was the liaison when negotiations began to bring peace to the area, which was a transactional peace. Right now, as of Saturday, not yesterday, but a week before, all the treaties between all parties have been signed, which opens up the way for a number of aid groups to come on in. But there are still sections where war and skirmishes and kidnappings and killings, and of course slaughters of entire groups have been taking place. The last I received news this morning that an entire church full of people in prayer was massacred. So as we move forward, or try to move forward on something such as this, resolving the differences in where and whose land is it, yours or mine. What we're also looking at is restoration of what would be normal infrastructures. The Goma area itself was a huge center of cultural influence. I work with the hip hop culture as a result of the Russian Federation trying to decimate it by getting it into the Olympic Games, which it's done with 3 other dance cultures before. And through that process of just working with those people in Goma, in that culture, I've seen so much good works, so much resilience, so much ability to be able to bring people back by using the hip hop culture as a method by which to work with children, young adults, older adults, every section of society. And of course, that convinced me that the culture itself is nothing at all like what they portray it as here in the United States. It's been incredibly distorted, whether that's been for political reasons or reasons of people's ideas of racial whatever. That part I don't care. What I do care about is the culture itself. It is the largest culture practiced on the planet today. And so through this, I've been able to see that, yes, there are things in place where we connect those who've been assisting, the community-based organizations, the cultural organizations, indigenous groups, by bringing them together as collaboratives. We can take the information that they gather every single day and turn it into a negotiating tool to better the lives of people that are there. And yes, it is a process because there are a lot of fakes and phonies out there. We have to have a very rigorous communication system in place where we get as much face-to-face time as we can. Thankfully, we've got the internet where I can satisfy the protocols of admission without having to get on a plane for 25 hours and never be there long enough to get it all. So what these people have been going through has been horrific. It's been a continuous nightmare. And as we move forward to try to stabilize, what we're bringing in is all kinds of partners from around the planet in every aspect of science, technology, innovation, so that we not only assist them in restoring their community infrastructures, but also restoring the strength of their nation and its ability to say no. The current movement to get rid of borders within Africa is something I admit I have to agree with, because those borders were created by invaders. And meant to divide. So that is something where I'm just sitting here jumping up and down and saying, I think that's a wonderful idea.
Well, now hold on. I know exactly the arguments for it, but I was not aware that there really is a movement. Who's promoting this? And
the African Union.
Sorry?
Yeah.
The African Union.
Really?
And the leader of this movement is the president of Burkina Faso, Mr. Traore, or Colonel Traore, who, he's got videos all over YouTube showing him winning discussions with so many different people of note, people that we know, where he lays it down very clearly without insult, without any sort of raising of his voice, but what he speaks is truth. And makes it very, very clear that there are many in Africa who are far more ready to bring everything together. And what UnityNet is doing there is creating those collaborations, not just on the ground, but across nations, where groups get to meet their fellow professionals in the fields in which they intervene. And through that, build their coalitions so that their voices get a little too loud to ignore. Very much like what we've been doing here in the United States through our social service agencies, all the way around. It's their numbers and their statistics that they've gathered together that our nation uses in their relationship with other nations. And because many of our nonprofits...
Let me try to figure out what the goal would be. Is this to amalgamate a number of different countries? And if so, which countries would be combined to make one big country? And how do you anticipate that would help resolve the conflict? I see that what you're saying is that all these minerals are being claimed by many different people and on the grounds on the argument that it's in my country, or this is the land that I should own. And if you combine the countries, that particular argument would go away, but surely somebody else would be arguing for something else. Tell me what the image is of how this would work.
Well, to be perfectly honest, those country borders were created by colonists.
Yeah.
The European nations that went to invade.
Sure.
So having borders is very much a Western, it's a Western invention to divide. And divide and rule is the oldest form of control that we have. It began back when we first started discovering that seeds from plants that we roamed and ate could actually be planted into the soil. As soon as we started agriculture, people got the idea that this is mine and I should own it. Soon after that, they only let people with certain tokens cross their lands that they would make and give to friends and say, okay, here you can go. And of course, eventually those tokens became coins with faces and names, who were seen by the common people as being very powerful, even to the point of calling them gods.
Okay, the history is certainly interesting, but the question in my mind is, pragmatically, there's a plan. You're referring to some new game plan to amalgamate countries, and what exactly is the plan? Because that will involve particular governments, and which governments are on board, if any?
Well, we're talking about the African Union, which is a form of government. They do meet constantly and make decisions. And the idea of countries, as I said before, is a white man's invention.
I don't care. I don't care where it came from. The question is, for pragmatic reasons, is there a plan that you can show is going to make a difference in peace? Right now, the history of the thing is irrelevant. If they're fighting over something like, what piece of land has what kind of mineral on it and who has the legal title to that land, that's, I guess, the question. Is there a real plan for how to solve conflicts, and which conflicts, where, by whom? Who are the parties involved in the conflict? You mentioned
truthfully, with the M23 rebels out of Rwanda and Burundi, they've been funded actually by the U.S. military-industrial complex. Their weapons, their tools are all American-made. In fact, at one point, the DR Congo had actually hired a great number of Romanian mercenaries to come down and assist. And when they were confronted with the M23s, they saw that what the weapons that they had were. They dropped their weapons and they ran away. Literally.
Okay, what I want to hear is there a proposal to amalgamate these countries, and who's making that proposal? And
the African Union. The African Union, and it would be all of Africa.
Does it want to amalgamate all of Africa or just
Yes.
certain countries? All
No.
of Africa.
All of Africa.
One big swoop.
Think of the United States. The United States is 50 states that came together and agreed they will be a country. It is a federation, just like Canada is provinces that came together into a federation. The African Union is proposing a federation.
Okay. That's
Right?
what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Just like the United
you,
States
Lloyd.
and Canada. So that's the proposal, basically. They're not getting rid of the borders, but like the European Union, you can cross the borders without a passport.
Okay. Now, somebody mentioned that there's been a treaty signed. Tell me, what treaty? Who signed it? Tell me about that. Is this an end to some sort of conflict that I wasn't sufficiently aware of, or what?
A week ago yesterday, was the final signing of all the agreements between Rwanda and the DR Congo. This was facilitated by two other nations further south. The first agreement was signed between the United States, Rwanda, and the DRC. That was, I believe, 6 weeks ago. I've lost count because I speak to so many. But this last Saturday, it was Doha, I believe, and Qatar that assisted with the signing. Because, of course, both of these groups, well, Doha being a bit further north, and of course, Qatar being in the Arab region, what we're looking at is these groups that are saying, we'll help you keep whatever peace you have. And these are nations that are friendly, that have never tried to invade or take things from the soil by disrupting social order so they can get everything at as cheap as price as possible. I mean, I can tell you the conditions of the negotiations, but I think that would be a little bit premature. I have to let them announce that themselves. But what occurs here with all of these negotiations is easing the conflict or making it disappear immediately. The issues with mineral extraction, or what I do sometimes call outright theft, those are going to slowly get eased along the way as well. We've been working with all manner of different groups in order to create collaborations with groups from all around the world to assist them in development and restoration of the social structures that they've had. There's also issues of global warming to face, of course. So we are working in hopes to satisfy aspects of the UN Global Compact. I believe, Lloyd, 2 weeks ago, I gave you 5 files from UNESCO that outlined what the steps were to become a UNESCO partner. That is one of the things that we're working on right now. With UNESCO as a partner, we will be able to apply for and gain access to Global Compact funds, which right now amount from the promises of nations all around the world to approximately $7.4 trillion every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Would it all go to Africa? No. It would go to all places around the world because we all suffer from global warming. It's just Africa suffers from it the most and contributes to it the least. So it was an obvious place for us to start.
Well, that is glorious. If you're talking about trillions like that, if it's real. But, my impression is that nations get together and they say they sign things and they wave their hands and do magical tricks that
It's why we
never
don't
really amount
we
to
don't
anything.
work with the nations. We work with the cities. We work with the communities. We work with the local organizations and build partnerships from the ground up.
Yes.
And it is a private sector. We're not relying on government funding necessarily to do this.
Good.
Yeah, we're
Wow.
we're
So
relying on their
the-
obstruction all
the
along the way. To tell
Private
you the truth.
sector interests are actually profits. because the solutions we are proposing are intended to be profitable.
No kidding. Oh,
Yeah.
all right, go on. These are the mining interests or what? You mentioned minerals.
There are some, but it is across the board, including many technology companies.
Oh, yeah. We've got architects, scientists, engineers. We've got
Builders?
Yep. The bill. Oh, hey, we've got this one fellow who has connections to different factories around the planet, where he's let us know that he can actually create a home in 4 hours.
Oh my goodness.
4 hours to erect a home.
3D printing.
Yeah.
3D printing. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, even in Africa, they're doing 3D printing, huh?
Well, it can be done as long as you bring in the right equipment
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and train the locals on how to do it.
Uh-huh.
And we have
Going
groups
around-
that are,
You're going around the national state, right?
Yeah, we're
Is
not
it-
going top down anymore.
no, ground up. It's the only way to cover absolutely everything.
Uh-huh.
And that is the goal. And we all rise together.
Okay. Now, somehow we've gone way beyond this refugee camp thing, which already was astounding me, but it sounds as if I'm not sure how to tie the whole package together. Can you somehow describe what the connection is? Oh, here's Charles Stauber. I don't know, Charles, do you know what we're talking about here?
Yes, I do. And I'd just like to introduce what we do,
Yeah.
which I think could be a big contribution to this. We're the Coalition for Work with Psychotrauma and Peace. And basically, what we do is we train people at local level, we do it online, to assist one another with the traumas. And we do this over long term. People don't, in fact, we're working with non-professionals. We don't have a lot of money, but we do it without charge to the beneficiaries. And if anybody is interested in what we're doing, please contact us, because we're very anxious to assist in precisely these kinds of places.
So, Charles, what I would like to do, I would like to ask you to leave your contact information in the chat.
I certainly
And
will.
we'll get in touch afterwards. I'm going to put my contact information in there again as well. And
Okay.
I would like to introduce you to a member of the Rotary Club in New Jersey. It's called the Dare to Be Great Rotary Club. As well,
Okay.
Lisa Anise is connected with folks in the YMCA. We're working with several service organizations around the world that would like to get involved in these projects as well. Specifically, the gentleman in New Jersey with Rotary, I believe he is the chairperson of the Rotary Fund. And so there are opportunities, we believe, for synergies, because what they would like to
That
do
would be
in
great.
Rotary is to deliver a global project of foundational education for young people to learn rapidly, also using artificial intelligence tools to assist in them to learn very quickly. And there's actually a program developed by a lady that's been tested in India for many years, where anybody, young people, older people that can't read, can learn to read in a matter of weeks.
Wow.
And so they can read a newspaper after a very short period of time. So
Yeah.
there are programs that the Rotary would like to deliver, but if we can synergize with that and say,
Yeah,
we're also going to
absolutely.
deliver some trauma healing programs.
Absolutely. And we're very willing to work online constantly. We've done a little bit with people like Dr. Dieudonné in Bukavu and some of the Quaker people. And
That'd be
as I
wonderful
said,
to
there are
bring the
more-
Quakers in as well. We
Sorry?
have Quaker. It would be great to bring the Quakers in as well. There are Quaker groups here in Toronto we could connect up with, for instance.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a Quaker, and I'm part of the European and Middle East consultation group. So,
Which is perfect. Lisa Anise also is going to be going to Europe, I believe in October, to work also with the a dance group, a large
wow.
organization. So she's with the UNESCO Dance Council, SID UNESCO. So that is one of the community interventions is through arts and culture, specifically looking at ways of actually interacting with these communities through arts and culture and understanding their own history and all of the various aspects of their own cultures
Okay,
that
now,
will help them.
Richard
Our
Denton is putting things in the chat, and I want to call on Richard, but I don't see you, Richard.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
Netta?
Yes. Mhm. Go ahead.
I've been doing this since the 80s. So we have a great deal of experience with it. I'm located in Vukovar in Croatia, which was the site of one of the first battles of the Balkan Wars. And the point is,
How do you spell Zimbabwe?
and the point is to get people at the local level who don't have previous training to work with one another. And that works. We found that they know more than the great psychologists and psychiatrists.
Oh, by far.
Exactly. Exactly.
David, I will be in some of the Balkan states. I'm going to be up north between October 23rd and November 3rd.
Well, you're welcome to drop in on us, and I will put our contact information in the chat.
And I've left my contact information there as far as WhatsApp. You could probably find me using my name on Facebook as well.
Okay.
So easy places to go.
Okay, and
Richard Denton,
you will see our contact information on our website.
Thank you.
I know that as a Rotarian, you're itching to contribute to the comments about the part of that Rotary is playing in this. So you have the floor.
Are you talking to Richard Denton?
Richard Denton, who's
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Meta, and great to hear from you, Lloyd, and also Lisa Annis. I fully support your ideas about the Federation in Africa. I think it's long overdue. I think it's a great idea. I think, Lloyd, that certainly Rotary can play a role. Rotary is very involved in Africa. We worked with governments to do the polio vaccination, and that had to obviously overcome reticence on governments, various myths, suspicions about it, and yet Africa is now polio free. And Rotary also has a variety of other programs. So I think this whole idea of pushing a federation forward. Now, having said that, Rotary says that it's not political. To me, everything is political, but what we are not is partisan. And to me, this is really it's a humanitarian issue. It's decolonization. And I think it was actually, I was quite amazed at, we just had a convention in Calgary and we had a, quote, presentation of flags from around the world. And still the various countries like the UK, France, and the United States have colonies still under their flag to this day. And I mean, we're trying to get away from all this colonization. So I think Lisa Annis talking about borders are a construct of the colonial countries is correct. We see it between India and Pakistan. That was a border that was created by the British. And certainly
Israel and Gaza,
Yep. All of these. So,
Palestine.
yep.
I
Exactly.
frankly want us to talk about the present and the future. That's really what we have to figure out how to be helpful now. And one of the reason I brought you in, Richard, is because Lloyd a while ago, maybe before you arrived, was mentioning some Rotarian in New Jersey that it was doing something relevant to his project. Maybe let's tie it together with that. What? Say it again, Lloyd. What's going on with this guy?
There's a Rotary e-club called the Rotary Dare to Be Great e-club, based out of New Jersey, and they are putting together a program, and they have ideas for a global program for education, and so they are actually also very concerned about AI, artificial intelligence, as well. I'm mentioning that because I'm seeing as well Lubna Dajani coming on our call as well. I've had some recent conversation with Lubna. So part of the programs that we would like to implement with Rotary Dare to Be Great Club, in addition to the foundational literacy programs and any others that, let's say, Charles might be able to deliver on trauma healing. But as well, what we would like to do is actually utilize certain types of infrastructure in local communities to also connect with Indigenous peoples, working with, for instance, UNESCO, to collect stories and preserve cultures, preserve languages. And through that process of collecting the stories of the Indigenous peoples around the world, we would like to also be able to train artificial intelligence in ethical decision making. And that's actually part and parcel of a wider program that we are attempting to deliver some pilot projects, starting here in Canada, but also in other countries around the world.
Hold on, this is
starting in Africa.
a big thing.
Yes,
I
it is.
absolutely am fascinated by, and I think Paul Werbos will want to speak to it too, about the whole importance of AI, and he is an authority on it. However, I don't see the connection. Now you're going to have to explain to me how you're going to use AI to help Indigenous people, or whatever it is your game plan is. Please explain, and then I want to give the floor to Paul pretty soon. Hold on, Paul. And then Richard again. Okay.
Well,
Lloyd, finish.
the original concept for utilizing AI was to assist in delivery of education and training, specifically for the marginalized communities, especially those in refugee camps, those in rural areas, and those in, for instance, settlements around cities, these so-called slums that are all over the world, where they don't have the formal education infrastructure. And so the idea was to formulate a plan that would allow for the types of infrastructure for delivery of education and training in some of the solutions they could that these people could deliver for themselves, to understand how to do it for themselves. using open knowledge systems and open source hardware solutions, along with various open source and open knowledge systems. And so the concept now is to leverage this type of hardware, the physical systems, and the software, the knowledge systems, the digital systems, and especially artificial intelligence, in a sort of back and forth between the people in these communities and the artificial intelligence itself, which is delivering or is being used as a tool to deliver the knowledge on the actual physical infrastructure that they need
That's wonderful.
to create what we call foundational security.
Yeah.
And so in this process, it's a little bit of a back and forth between the AI and the recipients, or those who are actually imparting the knowledge to the AI itself. So it's actually a synergy that's being built.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Now, Paul, and then Richard.
Okay, this is a bit tricky because what we are really called to do is to integrate across many different domains of knowledge, science, and experience. And more, if we don't make new connections, things get screwed up. So I'm not sure where to begin, but one thing that really hits me, when you talk about educational tools to quickly learn, use AI to learn quickly, that's one area, and one area is indigenous people. For the learning tools, I have two close friends here in the Virginia area, people we speak to every week, one of whom was in charge of the division at the National Science Foundation, developing all the most advanced computer tools for human education, the #1 expert in the United States for that. But I have to admit that he and his wife, whom we know very well, have been very distracted this past week because of the question of science being abolished in the United States. And we had great research programs developing new ways to use computers to educate humans beyond what existed anywhere else. But now between DOGE and the Congress and the other things, we do not know if any of these programs will continue. And we wonder, what do we do with this knowledge? His wife and I have been working very closely. I've been working for her more than anyone else on this issue of saving science in the US. And she's looking for people to help with her, but she's very focused on saving science in the US. That's one of the areas. But the other area is AI. And Meta can grin because she knows that advanced AI, to be honest, that's the area where I'm the world's expert. They are using tools that I developed to help education. And I sent to Meta just a short while ago a 7-minute summary of where we are in the state of the world. Feel free, if you have any interest in passing on, I think I even put it in the chat, the link to a 7-minute quick summary on how we humans are threatened by the misuse of AI. AI can be used to assist education and human potential, but it can also be misused to accelerate wars. And I'm very deeply worried about the short-term immediate risks related to war and money and cybersecurity. Those three especially, war and money and cybersecurity. The risk we face from those areas when we get it wrong is really serious. And the purpose of my 7-minute talk was as an introduction to a lot more work we need to do to get the good benefits without being destroyed by the horrible risks that are coming down the pike.
Well, Paul, I'm going to be probing and using you and your notions because I want to set up some more forums about AI, and then we want to have a particular project, which will be a series of 1 month long dialogues and an inquiry about about AI, open to all members of Project Save the World and all of the paid subscribers on Substack. So that I can't give you the details yet, but by next month it will be very clear. Richard Denton is quickly. You have the floor, but I want to greet Lubna. I think you popped up for a second, Luba, and then you went away again. But when Richard is speaking, please try to bring yourself back in, and I'll give you the floor after him. Yes, Richard.
Okay. But very briefly, as a medical doctor, I've always said the best method of birth control is the light bulb. In other words, if you give electricity to people, they actually do something other than produce babies at night. And with education, the most developed countries have the lowest birth rate right now. And so, again, I go back to Lloyd's ideas about education as being fundamental. And you don't need to get into AI, although that I think certainly does help. But in terms of Rotary, you've got district grants, which are up to $30,000, Lloyd, and they can give you develop the cultural ideas that you're talking about. Then you've got global grants that go up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they can help. And then really what you're looking at is what we now call a project of scale that Rotary does. And those grants are in the millions. And again, they are working with other organizations. So Rotary would kick in 1 million, and another organization, World Vision, would kick in a couple of million. That sort of thing is how you can sort of leverage it up. So I'll just leave you with those ideas as well. I don't know where you fit into the Rotary background, but those are, I'm a Rotary past district governor, so quite involved in Rotary.
Thank you so much. Let's
basically,
go to Lubna. Lubna, you're muted, but I want to greet you because you obviously have something on your mind. Can you? Hello.
Hi. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for making this space and for including me, and apologies for being late, but I had family matters. I have my mom. There are many things that many things that have been said in the short amount of time that I can respond to relative to AI and education and the role of collaboration, what have you. Also, you've talked about security. And I've also heard of significant amounts of funding dollars that could be deployed for the right activation. Rather than taking much time to talk about my background, I put a small summary. But I contribute to several ethical standards, IEEE ethical AI standards, including the 7010-2020, which is on the recommended practices for the assessment of the impact of AI and autonomous systems on human happiness, and 7014-2024, which has to do with emulated empathy. I'm also published several peer-reviewed papers on privacy, on cross-sectoral collaborations, and the need for transitory collaborations, especially when we are attempting to solve complex problems where a multitude of stakeholders need to come together, and how we might achieve the outcomes we want while mitigating the complexities of a transdisciplinary team where people come from different backgrounds, different language. Even when you use the same language, we mean different things. So coming from varied spaces of capacity. Sorry for any noise behind me. Anyway, I would be very, very happy to share some more about some of my thinking and how I would love to contribute. It's amazing. I feel like the universe is conspiring. I've been lately, everywhere I turn, the Rotary comes up, and I feel it's a divine intervention. So thank you so very, very much for the space. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
welcome, Ladna. I think that's, I'm glad to meet you, and I'm very interested in some of the topics that you've mentioned. This emulated empathy sounds extremely interesting.
Thank you. I also have expertise in embedded security at semiconductor level security, digital identity. I'm a W3C invited expert on data privacy. Again, I'm very happy to support our activities, and my whole career and my interest is where technology meets, where physical meets digital, and deploying technology such that it simplifies everyday life rather than add to the clutter of it, and to liberate us rather than further enslave, which is what's happening, and we are at a very critical time. I offer that you direct your AIs or ChatGPT or Claude or whichever one, Perplexity or whichever one of your AIs, deploy them to give you an assessment of the alternate manifesto, which although if you look back at some of the things that I've written, even from as far back as 2005 or even earlier, I described today then, and talked about the possibilities and warned of the potential pitfalls, which we are seeing. So I promise now not to to mute and shut up. Thank you again.
Well, maybe we can have a more extended conversation in a separate forum. I don't know. I should caution all of you. You're used to using the chat box as a way of communicating with each other, but it's not a very good way to communicate with our audience, because the audience doesn't see the chat, and if you type something in, it'll only be seen by some of the people here, and even I don't read it. While I'm trying to chair a meeting, I can't read and also chair the meeting. So I don't see the chat, and it really goes to waste. I would say I want to remind everybody that if you have something you want people to hear, say it while you have the floor. Otherwise, it probably won't get heard, and the chat is not the best way to do so. So thank you very much, Luna. And now I want to say hi to Alexei Prokorenko, who is, I presume, in Warsaw. Hi, Alexei. I haven't seen you in a while. How's everything? Unmute yourself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm just I've been caught in the middle of in the center of the city, actually, near the old town. So I'm not at home, but I found it extremely important to talk to you today. To see you all.
Okay, so you're walking
So I'm
around,
here.
and we get to walk through the old town with you. How lovely!
Yeah, there's it's the fortress, a piece of the fortress here. So and I was intrigued. I got into the middle of the AI speech.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts about that? I mean, we're certainly going to be doing more on AI in our Project Save the World, and I know you're trying to be some AI kind of, maybe not AI, but a technical person. This is not the time of year to begin trying to become a coder, dear. You're gonna there's no job for you.
No, I mean it's partly that the AI is killing the industry. I guess coding will not never be a thing anymore.
No.
At least not at my level, at the beginner's level. If you are super experienced, maybe there's a place for you on the market. But for an entry level specialist, AI is more or less doing the job better or worse. And I think it's rather killing education than helping it. It's my opinion because it kind of uh, it kind of diminishes the pleasure of getting new knowledge. It kind of makes learning obsolete, and that's what I'm afraid of. Creativity, learning, and I'm worried about that. So I would be really happy to expand more on that on my if I'm given a chance during that 1 month project.
Okay, well,
I have stuff to say.
I'll send out notices about it as I have the plans in place. And that may be within, I don't know, a few weeks, but not today. And I want to say hi to Brian Van Herzen, who is in Australia, I presume. Hello, Brian.
Yeah, 5 in the morning here. I'd like to offer a counterpoint on AI and teaching. And that is, this is a golden age in developing and architecting new applications because you can actually develop them in English instead of in Python. I mean, it does require some skill to know about coding, but for those who care about developing applications, it's easier now to develop an application than it ever has been before. That can be used for good or for evil. In fact, we're working on using it to bring empathy to the world and to develop social media platforms that in fact focus on the best in humanity rather than the worst. So there's much that we can do that goes in this area. And I would like to offer that this is a wonderful time to learn. And that is, imagine if every student has a personalized teaching assistant to enable the teacher to do a better job of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's the opportunity to have AI as assistance in the right context to enable the rapid deployment of education. In fact, if anything, it can complement what the teacher can provide. And so I think in some ways it could be a golden age of education as well, if used properly. So as with most tools, AI assistance can be used for good or for evil. And I think it's up to us as to how we can, as a teacher, I would love to have 50 or 100 teaching assistants helping all of my students as we go forward. So anyway, that's a bit of a counterpoint. Thank you.
You have always the most optimistic outlook of anybody on this show. And I'm glad you're doing that. And this is an opportunity for you to mention actually a little business between us, because I'm trying to set up a special forum in which you and maybe one or two other people talk about the book called Stellar, which you admire so much. I like it, but I maybe have more mixed feelings than you do about it. But at any rate, I've been trying to push this forward. So please, let's. Can you say already that the name of somebody that you could have join us, and we'll talk about that after there's a book club that you're going to be involved with. Say a little bit about that, and then I want to move on.
Yes. Well, I do have a colleague named Steve Hamilton who I may be able to have join for this. I think he's read Stellar as well, and he's a deep thinker. And I'd enjoy welcoming him to this forum. In a nutshell, Stellar provides necessary but not sufficient DNA to enable communities to become self-sufficient, bottom-up, grassroots. We now have everything necessary for decentralized governance of communities, which I'm thrilled about. I mean, local energy, local food security, local labor abundance, and local defense, I will add. If you notice the asymmetric warfare going on in Ukraine, you can't, if you organize a concentration of troops, they get blown up by drones.
Mm-hmm.
So these days you have to be distributed. I would offer and claim that the drone is the 21st century rifle, and the shot heard around the world is that a farmer wouldn't have thought of doing business on his farm without a rifle or a shotgun. And in the 21st century, you wouldn't think of running a farm these days without a drone, because I've added it up, and a crop duster costs $10 a hectare to use. A drone costs $1 a hectare to use, and actually, provide our seaweed biostimulant to the crops. Make sure to take pictures. There's all sorts of things you can do. And these days, a 14-year-old can fly a drone, and they're teaching young women in India how to fly drones. So I would offer that the need for nation states when it comes to the common defense is rapidly waning. And the best thing we could have is a well-armed drone militia and required service that every young person learn how to use and operate a drone responsibly. And, I would say an armed society is a polite society. So I would offer the need for nation states is diminishing. And our stellar future is decentralized, stellar communities that are self-sufficient. We can raise a militia, and we can come to the common defense of our good moral values that we'll need in order to carry ourselves through this century. Thank you very much.
That's really wonderful. Actually, it reminds me of something that became very apparent about a month ago when Ukraine bombed with drones. They smuggled drones into all kinds of places in Russia in trucks, and at a certain moment, the lid of the top of the truck came open, and out came the drones, and they went and knocked out the most a good part of the Russian bomber fleet. Nuclear weapons delivery system was completely, not completely, but very, very substantially hurt by these little drones, which anybody could do. I mean, every little country in the world, or even some you and I might be able. We had enough money to buy a few trucks.
There's a new asymmetry happening.
Yeah, that's right. So it's an argument against nuclear weapons because the delivery systems, those big expensive equipment, can be knocked out by a few drones. Isn't that fun? Anyway, let's see. Lubna, you speak a little bit next, and then I want to go back I want to go to Paul Werbos.
Yeah, thank you. So I agree with everything Brian was saying. I would love to actually have a deeper debate and discussion. I'd love to have on all of this. So yeah, I think AI is a tremendous educational. It's a tool to augment our intelligence, and I think we're gonna at this point. For me, what I'm working on is augmenting human intelligence with a cyber organ. Don't get. And when I say cyber organ, I mean to function in the same way as
you mean
using the same governance as a liver or a
Are you going to plant chips in our head? Is that what you mean?
No. What I'm talking about is nature-inspired systems that will help us as individuals, so that we are no longer going to a gunfight with a paper knife when it comes to dealing with our service providers, governments, or whoever that have the power of the technology. Because AI is one thing, but when you combine AI with the stack of technology, which is quantum, distributed, what have you, it's that stack. When you add that to other sciences, bio, nano, now we have other humanoids that look like us, but stronger, have longer lasting memories, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we will have to, and we're working on technologies of proof of life and the rights of the machine. So before we get to all that, we need to take a bit of a reflection. And we need to really shift where we place emphasis and how we measure value. Otherwise, if we don't start seeing our own well-being being that we are richer together, then we are just accelerating our extinction and making it miserable in the process. We're not even making it fun. And we can't talk about, we can't ignore, it's just not fun anymore in the world right now. And it doesn't have to be, because it's all created by us. We're spending trillions of dollars on innovations to kill each other. Seriously? I mean, come on.
Okay, look, there's no question that Paul Werbos is the specialist on pessimism. I said that Brian von Herzen is the specialist on optimism. But when you talk about AI pessimism, Paul, you have the floor again.
Okay, well, I raised my hand for a simple, trivial point, and the last few comments have not been simple or trivial. We're opening up very large boxes. The small trivial comment was about the chat. And I was a little disappointed. I don't see the usual 3 buttons to save the chat, but it's very simple to do: copy, select all, and just put it into a Word file. And I've done that. In the World Academy of Arts and Sciences, they had a really great, far-ranging discussion this past week, getting deep into all of the human survival issues, including AGI and climate and so on. And the chat worked incredibly well. I certainly saved it, and people read it, and people interacted. There was a human processing of complexity much greater than what we normally get when there's only Zoom, because people knew about chat and because they used it effectively, and also knew how to save it so that we don't lose this information.
But Paul, my point is that the only people who can see the chat are the people who are in this conversation on Zoom. And
unless we save it and use it and connect, which they're doing. So if you know what you're doing, what they're saying about all these new tools, if you use them the correct way, they can enhance you. If you don't use them the right way, they're a waste of time. And that's true for all of these AI-related tools. They can be good or bad, depending on your awareness of how to use them and what they are.
Dear,
I think what
just a minute. I send this video out to over 9,000 computers around the world. Not everybody opens it, I'll tell you that, but several thousand do. And those people who watch this video will not have access to the chat. Sorry. Now that's the problem. So if you want to get it to those 9,000 people, you have to say it. That's all.
One comment there, I think that would be helpful is if you had a tech support person for this call, they could monitor and in fact moderate the chat while you are chairing. And we oftentimes do that with regeneration pollination. So with one tech support person, you could actually use the chat the way Paul is suggesting. And I've seen it very effective that way as well. And then you can actually publish the chat along with the video. It's much easier, in fact, to share the chat along with the video because it's much lower volume of data. And it's just a nice thing. If you can find one or more people who could rotate and serve tech support for your town meetings, that would be a great complement in addition to what we're doing.
If I can, I will do it. I do not promise that because I really don't think it's going to work. I don't have anybody who's going to volunteer to do that. And I don't want to waste our time proposing something that isn't going to happen. I'm just telling you, as of now, if you want to have people hear what you're saying or want information out, you have to say it. Lubna?
No, I think it's okay. I was going to say the same thing, and but you've already addressed it. It's fine. It's fine with regards to the chat.
Okay.
I was guilty of putting my introduction in the chat, but then I introduced myself anyway. So,
okay.
Okay, yeah, I lower my hand. Thank you.
Now, substantively, let's go back to what people really want to be talking about, and I've lost the thread. Paul, I thought you had something you wanted to contribute to this more. You mentioned the chat issue, but you said, of course, we're talking about more serious matters, and you are the man to comment on what we have been saying about the future of the use of AI for education and risks. I mean, you're the guy who really worries about the risks. Paul?
Well, it's ironic. My sending out a couple of slides already, it's kind of like putting it in the chat, and maybe nobody will ever read it. But included in those slides were my feelings about the biggest risk to the survival of humans in this century, if anybody cares about humans.
I do.
Yeah, me too. It's the whole point.
Maybe, Paul, you can give us a short verbal summary of what's in the slides. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, so one of the things I was saying, we have lots and lots of people all of a sudden surprised that there's such a thing as a chatbot. They are not much aware of what they're talking to or what it implies. If they misunderstand it, their misunderstanding can be a problem in itself. If they expect the chatbot to be like a divine oracle telling them about the universe, that isn't going to work very well. But the real serious problems I listed are, I think I did mention briefly before. In the next 10 years, there are problems connected to war, to money, and regular cybersecurity for regular people. Affects their bank accounts, their communications, their news. And those are the three most urgent, gigantic problems. Given the present sociology of life, I see those things really going to hell right now. I worry every morning, is there a path where we might have a better chance of survival? My best hope right at this moment, I remember how the United Nations Security Council had a session in June or July 2023 where all the major powers of the Security Council, advised by all their top security people, basically recommended a kind of global warning system. I interpret that to mean we should work together in a technically competent, open, transparent way to create a global system, just to begin with, to see the sky, so that every nation on earth can have advance warning if somebody is attacking them from the sky, or anything is attacking them from the sky, where it's coming from, what the parameters of it are. And to build a really secure, open platform, you also have to develop a platform which you can use for other purposes. And right now, that's not a guarantee, but I think it is a possible thing if people are serious about making it technically viable. Now, the problem is most governments don't work to make things technically viable. They have lots of corrupt vested interests that screw up everything in the world, but there is real science which makes it possible. And if we don't abolish science in every country on earth, starting with the US, it is at least one possible way forward to improve the chances of humans not killing themselves off in the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let me tell you what my particular anxiety right now is about AI, and that is the ability they have to tamper with images, including videos, and make people say things and look in ways that are not true. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and lately, in the last couple of months, there have been things appearing that completely baffle me, where I see monkeys laughing and crying and looking like human. They're half human. They've changed the appearance of monkeys so that they're not like monkeys anymore. They're half human. And I watch a picture of, there's something where they have the royal family, videos of, or photos of Prince Harry at the bedside of the dying king. And the king is not dying. He was around in Ottawa eating ice cream cones about a month ago. But we have pictures of these people weeping and by the bedside of the king. And it's all made up. They can take people and change their faces so that they look like they're crying when they're really you never have a picture of them really crying. So they're doing these things that, and they put up pictures of battles where you see a bunch of tanks going along. They're supposed to be Russian tanks, and they all get blown up. And I think this is supposed to be a battle that just happened a few days or hours ago. And and I'm watching a whole battalion of Russian tanks being blown up. I should be able to go to CNN and see what has really happened. But no, it was all faked. It was a simulation. And they put it out as a real thing. Now, what's bothering me is I can't trust my own eyes anymore. if I see something, I don't know whether it's really happened or not. And I feel extremely vulnerable when pictures and of people or of activities that never happened are passed off as true. That's really bothersome. Somebody answer me on that.
I'd be
Brian, I think you maybe have a thought.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just a recent YouTube out on this where they had a similar problem in Taiwan, and with the Modern Polity group that Dobry facilitated, they managed to basically come up with a great resolution. They polled 450 people through sortition, and through that citizen assembly process, they identified that they were getting all these fake videos by Jensen Huang, chairman of NVIDIA. And so what they did was they said, look, if it's not signed by Jensen Huang, assume that it's a forgery and limit it. And that passed. It was adopted by the Minister of Communications. And it was through a sortition and citizen assembly process that was facilitated by AI assistants that facilitated each of the 45 rooms they used for 450 people. And so they managed to use the AI very well to facilitate rooms like this one and enable a deliberative discussion that resulted in a great output, a great outcome. And I would suggest that many town meetings in the future can be facilitated by such technology. But ultimately, it simply sets guidelines so that these problems don't occur. And I think signatures are a great way to get started with that. So I actually put a link to the Modern Polity YouTube in the chat, and I recommend that people watch this, because to me it's a very bright future for decentralized governance of our towns, our municipalities, our states, and even our nation states in the future.
Well, good, but why can't they just say that YouTube is not going to allow them to post anything that's fraudulent?
Well, YouTube is welcome to do that. They've chosen to go the outrageous route, and that's because the negative, disturbing emotions get 5 times the attention of the love and care emotions that we all need to develop with new forms of social media. And so it's my hope to help people do that in the future as one of many things that we're doing. And I think there's a great opportunity to bring out the best in humanity and not the worst.
Okay, that's good. I want to say hello to Rose Dyson, who's just joined us. And David Harris too. I didn't see you. Just sneaked in the back door, David. I didn't see you.
What is on my mind? Wondering how you people are, how the project to save the world is progressing. I've been getting some emails saying that China has absolutely overtaken America as an economic power, and they're, according to Bill McGibbon, it's very good news because they're on the leading edge of developing renewable energy. So if we have a chance at all of dealing with the climate crises, we probably have to rely on China. Is that a controversial view?
No, it's not controversial at all. They have produced 200 gigawatts of solar panels last year, and they have production capacity of 400 gigawatts. And solar, wind, and batteries is how we'll build the stellar abundant future. Unfortunately, the United States is shooting itself in the foot with these high tariffs on solar. And it's just because, the president in the president administration has no understanding of where we're going in the future with stellar technology.
Well,
You think that, I'm sorry to interrupt, you really think that's what it is, or that we've just become used to the American public being the guinea pigs, actually?
Guinea pigs, yes, a lot of solar technology was first American, but
no, I meant we're being, I don't think the American public is I don't think our administration really is making America great again, or is having the general public's best interest at heart. I think we are I think the general public in general is now the sacrificial lamb. It's collateral damage, and we have and I, I'm the eternal optimist myself. I'm very motivated by this conversation, by the way, so forgive me. But But we're running
Well,
out of
the most
time.
disturbing- Yeah, in 2008, the federal government bailed out Wall Street, but not Main Street. And we've seen back all the way back to 1971, we saw a break between the increase in worker productivity and the pay to workers. And the result is that, you know, the minimum wage is $7 an hour instead of $25 an hour. And the result is really that the worker productivity has gone up a lot in the last 50 years, but the compensation to those workers, and yeah, it's hollowed out the middle class, and this is all about more money to the billionaires. So we really need to take over, and we've got to build something new that makes the old system obsolete.
Exactly.
And that's what we'll have.
But how do you deal with government, the democratic process where one government votes in or is voted in and develops policies like Biden did in the last administration with his infrastructure bill, and what else? The CHIPS bill, I think, was considered quite progressive in terms of dealing with renewals. And then he gets, and I know that Trump is an anomaly in terms of getting elected, but he gets in and he rolls back these policies. We saw the same thing happen in Canada. Trudeau was probably, for all his shortcomings, he was one of the first prime ministers that really put the environmental crises and the environment front and center as something that had to be addressed. And he brought in the carbon tax. Well, now it's been rolled back. We're living in a democratic process. And why did Carney do it? Do it not because he didn't like the carbon tax, but because the public didn't like it. So this is taking one step forward and two steps backward.
We have to be clear. Democracy is alive and well in America. Every dollar gets equal vote. Until such time we get dollars out of politics, we're not going to, people are the ones that are with right to free speech. It shouldn't be corporations. It shouldn't be bots, and it shouldn't be dollars. Very simple.
Exactly. Oh,
we need
God,
to change the rule. Just change the rules. I mean, that's what we have to do.
And we have to change fiduciary responsibility for corporates. I mean, we've forgotten why we created a corporate was to represent its people, not so that a couple of schmucks at the top make billions of dollars, while the same employees of the same company can't make ends meet at the bottom, that are cleaning their own poop. And cleaning up after their atrocities that they create in the market. And then the public is taxed to pay their bailouts. Our system is created to exploit the general public. We are the collateral damage. We matter not. And Bill Gates said we need to reduce the population. And we have been it's a meticulously executed plan. I'm sorry, but from all of it, actually. Don't get me started. I'm gonna.
I really want us to talk about.
We have to Trojan horse the change. We cannot fight the current system. Honestly, sorry.
Trojan horse.
I'm tired of hearing history and complaints about who did what was wrong. I want us to talk about our proposals for what we want to put forward to solve the problem. But before doing so, I want to say a little bit to David, give David Harries the floor for 1 second, but we're coming toward the end. And David, you and Paul spent this week at the World Academy of Arts and Sciences, because I saw both of you, and you both gave talks. So if you have anything you want to share about that or anything else before we say goodbye.
Well, it was a marathon of talking. I didn't learn anything I didn't already know.
Same here.
And I didn't hear action proposals. I heard a lot of lists.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm involved with more and more is trying to get more attention to the fact we need fewer university graduates and more vocational trainees so that we have essential workers, and not just for productivity and well-being and work-life balance, but because if we're serious
seriously believing that this climate change thing is causing more and more bad weather and crisis, we got to come down to a statement that I've used in human security work for 40 years. The most important first responders in a crisis are the survivors. And if survivors know how to take care of themselves, they don't have to wait and die for first responders who will always be late. So we have hundreds of thousands of people with degrees who are driving taxis or don't have any work at all. And yet we can't find a plumber. That's an simplification, but I didn't hear anything that responded to that over the 3 days that I participated in the WASP conference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Peter, Peter Wadhams has been here, hasn't said a word. He's really full of wonderful knowledge, and I think it'd be terrible to let the whole 2 hours go by without a word from Peter. What is your wisdom that you're ready to share with us, dear?
Well, I've got no wisdom. It's just appalled that we spent this entire period not mentioning Gaza. We're not mentioning a systematic slaughter going on in the full view of the world, of the civilized so-called world, in which we're being allowed to just wipe out a nation. And why are we doing that? Why are we allowed to do it? Why is the world, supposedly a civilized world, not actually doing anything about the country which is actually slaughtering people in a way which they learned, probably, they learned it off the Nazis. And I'm completely at a loss. I'm despairing mostly whenever I look at the newspaper. I completely despair about what we're allowing to happen in the world.
I agree.
And just what can we do? Can we do nothing? We're doing nothing. That's the essence.
Thank you. Brian, it's now 4:00, but you have a word.
You were asking for what positive things we can do. I think we can adopt proposals like Australia did for open primary. No, it was actually Alaska. Open primaries and ranked voting systems for the state. That proposal was soundly defeated by the Republicans and Democrats in Nevada. And it's because the entrenched interests wanted to keep it a two-party system. But, we have to understand that corporations are donating substantially to both the Democrat and Republican sides, which means that we have a regulatory capture occurring in the United States government. So we have to really look to getting money out of politics, having government-funded elections and not allowing the super PACs to dominate the electoral votes in America. And that's it in a nutshell. I recommend checking out Modern Polity. But I think we can retake our democracies, and I think it requires willful attention. So thank you.
Well, I want to also put in the word about the importance of promoting international law, because we do not have a system of enforcing international law, and all of these other problems about geopolitics are problematic because a country can get away with doing whatever they want to do and nothing will happen. So I think that the way forward through solving a lot of these problems has to begin at the basics of, do we have international law or not? And if we do, then countries must obey it and must enforce it. And that's where I think the starting point needs to be if we're going to make any dent in it, because I have no idea how to solve the situation in Gaza now. I share Peter's feelings. I think it's the worst thing going on in the world today, and it's unbelievable that it can be allowed to happen, but it's going on. And I don't have any better idea except a longer term reconstruction of our international system of governance. We're over time. Does anybody have a 10-second
Yeah.
to
I'm dying.
Luba? Yes.
If I may, please. First, I thank you.
Yeah.
2, I totally agree. 3, I think we need to be a two-pronged approach while we're trying to address and do all the things that you and Brian just said. We also need to create an alternate system, and that creation needs to be Trojan horse. That's the whole intent of the alternate living labs, is to action all the blah blah and redirect systemic waste so that we can start to fuel the transition. But it has to be Trojan horse, otherwise they will, because they're very powerful. I would love an opportunity to speak with you some more and to share more, and I'm really grateful for this space, because for the first time in a very long time, very long time, I feel like I'm around people who are actioning something, instead of all this blah blah. So thank you.
Right. Now I miss, and I don't know where John went. Is John still with us?
Yeah.
Our friends and Lisa, I want to thank you again for what it turned out to be a good part of our conversation today. It's about your work, and you've informed me about something that I'm shamefully ignorant about. So I really bless you for your wonderful, wonderful contributions along those lines. And I do hope that some of us can find a way of contributing in some way to that. So just by being here and sharing, I think your message will reach quite a number of other people, that when I post this on Substack and we send it out to our 9,000 or 10,000 subscribers around the world.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, there are ways that can be helped, that people can be of assistance. It took me a long time, but I did get permission from the Board of Education to put cultural education back into the schools across the country. So they do have an approval of cultural education listed for every single state. What we're working on now is going state by state according to United States law to make certain that it actually gets into the curriculum, because many states will put it into after school. And of course, we already know that the major portion of funding for after school programs has already been cut by the Trump administration. But there always, the beauty of our nation's laws is that such funding, according to FARCAD, is three-way. Yes, you have the federal funding that's been taken out, but you also have state funding, and you also have funding that comes from local sources. So for those who wish to assist, I have my contact listed a couple of times in the chat. Please contact me. And I'll start to talk with you about how that can be done. In fact, I've got a group, we'll be starting to do broadcasts on a format called Hip Hop Communiversity, that we will be talking about this process and how starting this next fall, we will be beginning the process of letting people know the things that they can do to get cultural education back into the public school curriculum.
I think that's fine, but let me say what I think has a higher priority, and that's civics. Teach kids what the government is like and how you actually can practice democracy. That is, I think, more important than people's culture. Anyway, we could have an argument about that.
Yeah, well, yes, we could, because culture is identity, and without identity, we fall to all manner of human ills.
Okay, Amanda, just one quick.
A whole conversation, Rose.
Yeah, one more quick thing about international law that and the need to adhere to it. I think there was something quite encouraging that just came out within the last week or two. The International Court of Justice has developed some legislation or indications that countries that don't observe their need to cut back on carbon emissions will have to pay off to some of the Pacific Islands in particular. They're the most vulnerable in reparations. I'm not sure just how that would work, but it seems to have excited a lot of environmentalists.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now, as we're getting toward the end, everybody wants to get in board. I can't. We're over time. So you just have to come back next time. And it's been fun. And I love you all. Come back on the last Sunday of every month and from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll do it again. And we'll do something different next time. Okay? So thank you. And be well.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Mm-hmm.